Tell, have you ever heard a bond so strong that not even death could break it? Well, today we're re-diving into a story that will make you question everything you thought you knew about the connection between this world and the next. This is the incredible and haunting story of twin sisters, Sarah and Clara. From the moment they were born, Sarah and Clara were two halves of a whole. They were identical twins, and their bond was something truly special. They shared a room, a wardrobe, and what seemed like a single soul. If you saw one, the other was never far behind. They'd finish each other's sentences, feel each other's joys, and even share each other's pains. Their parents often joked that they had their own secret language, a series of looks and gestures that only they understood. They dressed in matching outfits every single day, not because their parents made them, but because they wanted to. It was their way of showing the world that they were a unit, a team. From their first steps to their first day of school, they did everything together. They shared friends, hobbies, and dreams for the future. They planned to go to the same college, travel the world side by side, and grow old together, living in houses right next to each other. Life for them was a shared adventure. But as they approached their 13th birthday, a shadow began to fall over their perfect, shared world. Clara, who had always been just as vibrant and energetic as her sister, started to feel unwell. At first, it was just a lingering cough and a constant feeling of tiredness. The doctors ran tests, but the results were inconclusive. Her condition slowly worsened. The girl who once ran through fields of wildflowers with her sister could now barely make it from her bed to the kitchen. Sarah never left her side. She'd spend hours reading to Clara, telling her stories, and just holding her hand, trying to will her own strength into her sister. She prayed every night, begging for a miracle, for her other half to be whole again. The family's once bright and cheerful home became quiet and filled with a heavy sense of worry. Despite everyone's hopes and all the medical efforts, Clara's illness progressed rapidly. Just a week after their 13th birthday, a day that should have been a celebration of their shared life, Clara passed away. The loss was devastating. It was like a light had been extinguished, not just in their home, but in the world itself. For Sarah's parents, the pain of losing a child was unbearable. But for Sarah, it was something else entirely. She had lost her twin, her best friend, her mirror image, her entire world. The silence in their shared room was deafening. The empty bed next to hers was a constant, heartbreaking reminder of what was gone. Life became a lonely, colorless routine. The chores they used to do together, laughing and making a game of it, were now solitary tasks. Setting the table meant placing one less plate. Walking to school meant walking alone. Sarah felt like a ghost in her own life, just going through the motions. The matching clothes were packed away, and for the first time, she had to face the world as just Sarah, not Sarah and Clara. It felt wrong. It felt incomplete. Her friends and family tried to comfort her, but how could they understand? They hadn't lost a part of their own soul. Sarah retreated into herself, lost in a sea of grief. Then, one evening, about a month after Clara's passing, something unbelievable happened. Sarah was in the kitchen, listlessly washing the dinner dishes. Tears silently streaming down her face as she remembered how Clara used to splash her with soapy water. Suddenly, she felt a familiar, gentle presence beside her. The air grew still, and a faint sweet scent, like the jasmine flowers Clara loved, filled the room. She turned, her heart pounding, and there she was. It was Clara, not a ghost in the scary sense, but a soft, shimmering version of her sister, smiling that same mischievous smile she always had. She looked just as she had before she got sick, healthy, happy, and radiant. Sarah couldn't believe her eyes. She thought she was dreaming, that her grief was finally making her hallucinate. But Clara spoke, and her voice was as clear as a bell. "You missed a spot," she said playfully, pointing to a plate. Sarah was speechless, frozen in a mix of shock, fear, and overwhelming joy. Clara just laughed, a sound Sarah had desperately missed, and picked up a dish towel. "Don't worry," she said, her form wavering slightly. "I'm here to help." And just like that, it became their new normal. Clara started appearing to Sarah regularly. She'd show up when Sarah was doing her homework, helping her with a tricky math problem. She'd sit on the edge of Sarah's bed at night, just like she used to, and they would talk for hours. The loneliness that had consumed Sarah began to lift, replaced by a strange, secret comfort. Clara would tell her stories, incredible stories about the place she was in now. She described it not as a dark or scary place, but as a world filled with soft light, beautiful music, and colors that didn't exist on Earth. She said there was no pain or sadness, only peace. She spoke of meeting their grandparents who had passed long ago, and described how they were all waiting, happy and content. "It's so beautiful here," Clara would say, her eyes shining with an otherworldly light. "You can't even imagine. The flowers sing, and the rivers are made of liquid starlight." Sarah listened, captivated. A part of her was terrified. Was this real? Was she losing her mind? But the other part, the part that missed her sister more than words could say, clung to every word. Having Clara back, even like this, was a dream come true. Their bond was restored, crossing the boundary between life and death. They were a team again. But then, the nature of their conversations began to shift. Clara's invitations became more direct, more persuasive. "You should come with me, Sarah," she'd whisper, her voice gentle but insistent. "You could see it all for yourself. We could be together again, really together, forever. It's so easy. You just have to let go." She'd describe how wonderful it would be. No more chores, no more school, no more sadness. Just an eternity of happiness with her. To Sarah, who was still struggling with her grief and the emptiness of her life without her twin, the offer was dangerously tempting. The world of the living felt grey and difficult, while the world Clara described sounded like paradise. The thought of being with her sister again, of ending the constant ache in her heart, was a powerful lure. Sarah started to become withdrawn from the living world again. She'd spend more and more time alone in her room, waiting for Clara to appear. Her parents noticed the change. At first, they were relieved to see her seeming a little happier, humming to herself as she did chores. But soon they saw that she was talking to herself, or rather, to someone they couldn't see. She'd smile and laugh at empty spaces. Her eyes had a distant, dreamy look. The initial relief turned into a deep, unsettling worry. One evening at dinner, Sarah's mother gently asked, "Who are you talking to in your room, honey? We hear you laughing sometimes." Sarah hesitated. She knew it sounded crazy. She had kept Clara's visits a secret, fearing no one would believe her. But the weight of it, combined with Clara's persistent invitations, was becoming too much to bear. Taking a deep breath, she told them everything. She told them about Clara's first appearance, how she helped with chores, the beautiful stories she told, and finally, her pleas for Sarah to join her. Her parents listened in stunned silence. Their faces paled. This was beyond anything they could have imagined. Their logical minds told them it was a product of grief, a coping mechanism gone too far. But the detail with which Sarah described everything, the conviction in her voice, and their own desperate desire to believe in something beyond their pain, made them pause. The fear for Sarah's safety, however, overshadowed everything else. The idea that their living daughter was being tempted to cross over by what might be a spirit or a projection of her own grief was terrifying. They knew they couldn't handle this alone. This wasn't just a matter of comforting a grieving child anymore. This felt like a battle for her spirit. They reached out to a family counselor, a spiritual advisor, and even a paranormal investigator, searching for anyone who could offer guidance. The experts all had different theories. The counselor suggested it was a vivid psychological projection. The spiritual advisor warned it could be a restless spirit, perhaps not even Clara, clinging to the world of the living. The paranormal investigator spoke of the powerful energy bond between twins that could transcend death. While the adults debated, Clara's visits to Sarah became more urgent. "They don't understand, Sarah," she'd say. "They want to keep us apart. But we belong together. It's time to come home. Come with me now." Sarah was torn. The love for her sister was pulling her in one direction, while the concerned faces of her parents and the instinct for life pulled her in another. She was standing on a precipice between two worlds. Ultimately, it was her parents' love that anchored her. They sat with her night after night, holding her stories about Clara, but also about the future they saw for Sarah. They reminded her of her own dreams, the ones she had before Clara got sick. They helped her understand that living on was not a betrayal of Clara, but a way of honoring her memory. to live the life Clara couldn't, to experience the world for both of them. With her family's support, Sarah found the strength to have one last conversation with her sister, there. The next time Clara appeared, radiant and beckoning, Sarah looked at her, tears in her eyes, and said, "I love you more than anything, Clara, but I can't go with you. Not yet. This is my home now, and I have to live. For me, and for you." She told Clara that she would never forget her, that she would carry her in her heart every single day, but she had to choose life. A profound sadness crossed Clara's face, but then, it softened into a look of understanding and love. She smiled, a gentle, final smile. "I'll be waiting," she whispered, and then, she faded away, leaving behind only the scent of jasmine and a sense of peace. Clara never appeared again. The house felt quiet, but it was a different kind of quiet, now not empty, but peaceful. Sarah slowly began to heal. She kept her sister's memory alive, not by dwelling in the past, but by embracing the future. She knew that her twin would always be a part of her, a silent partner in her journey through life. Their bond was not broken. It had just transformed into something new, a bond of love, memory, and the promise of a reunion someday far in the future. Thank you so much for watching. This story is a powerful reminder of the bonds that tie us together. If you were moved by this story, please hit that like button and subscribe for more incredible tales. We'll see you in the next video.